SEC on ESPN as we welcome you live to Gainesville, a battle for bragging rights in the Sunshine State as the 16th ranked Gators host the Seminoles of Florida State, coming in at number 18, kicking off an incredible week of college volleyball. A legend around these parts, former Gator setter Missy Whittemore. I'm Paul Sunderland. Thanks so much for joining us. Out of the ACC is Florida State. Out of the SEC is Florida. This is not just another match in the non-conference.
No, I'll tell you, volleyball fans have been treated to a pretty special slate of pre-conference matches, but it doesn't get any better than rivalry week in college volleyball, and we kick it off right here in Gainesville with a Sunshine State showdown. It also just happens to be a top 20 matchup.
Say that 3 times fast.
No,
I'll give it a try later on. Some very, very good news for the Florida Gators and their fans. Kennedy Martin, returning All-American, has not played since the end of August. She's back in the lineup for the first time.
Have not seen her since the Gators' very first. Always some extra incentive in this match for those in-state players, and that includes Florida State's Audrey Koenig, who is from Wesley Chapel, Florida. She has become one of the most dominant 6-rotation pin players in the game, and as Florida State continues to tinker with their lineup, you're going to see her swinging from left front, right front, and very physical out of the back row as well.
Classy players, classy programs, and 2 incredible coaches. Number 1 in active wins with 1,051 is Mary Wise, and Chris Poole 925, 1 and 2 in terms of total wins on the active list, and incredible resumes, and we'll detail that for both Coach Poole and Mary Wise in her 34th season here in Gainesville. It is the 17th year for Chris Poole after he spent 14 years at Arkansas. Florida will be in their home white uniforms. Florida State in their garnet with black trim. 67th meeting all time between the Gators and the Seminoles, and Florida's had the better of it recently, winning 9 of the last 11. But last year in Tallahassee, it went 5 sets, 16-14, so expecting exactly that. Beautiful dig right on target, and A.C. Fitzpatrick, 5'11", 5th year out of Ocala, Florida, with the opening kill.
I said a little extra incentive for those in-state players. We'll count A.C. Fitzpatrick in that group. She's from just down the road in Ocala, Florida. You look at the numbers from this match a season ago, and A.C. Fitzpatrick had 22 kills on a 404 hitting efficiency.
Here is 5'11" freshman Taylor Parks out of Clearwater, stepping into the setting shoes of Alexis Stuckey, still on the sideline after suffering a very, very serious knee injury last year. But number 20 in white doing a very, very admirable job right now. And is she indeed from the service line? Taylor Parks comes in at 5'11", first-team All-American high school setter.
And Paul, I think it's going to be very important for Florida to match Florida State from the service line. This Florida State team is known for serving and blocking. That is the quick way to score points.
Koenig again chopping nicely inside the block, number 4 in garnet for Florida State.
Interestingly, Florida State has a depth of pin players, but only one who has ever truly been a right side. And so as they continue to play with their lineup, they're using that physicality of Audrey Koenig at the right pin in some rotations.
Lauren Robertson, one of 2 setters deployed by head coach Chris Poole, transfer from Memphis. Good first contact right now, early start for Florida. Koenig over the top of the block and down.
And that set for Florida in the middle was to, yes, Gabby Essex, who is making her first appearance on the season for the Florida Gators. Another one of their contributors, big-time contributors from a season ago, who has been out with an injury, a hamstring injury for Gabby. So we're seeing her first playing time of the year.
To the outside, and the first swing in the month of September. Kennedy Martin wearing number 18 in white.
And I think it's safe to say it was a good one. Just a jump save set there by Parks, which works to the advantage of Martin because the middle blocker goes up with Parks, and it leaves a big hole for Kennedy Martin.
There is Fitzpatrick back to serve. Kennedy Martin, 6'6" sophomore out of Fort Mill, South Carolina. Almost, wow, big serve. Very nice set in transition. Koenig looking for high hands and missed it just over the end line. Early service pressure clearly coming from the white-clad Florida Gators. They come in with a record of 6-2. Lost to USF and at Georgia Tech. And that ball missed just out of bounds. Big story for Florida State. Emery Dukes, you saw her in the back row, wearing number 5 in the white libero jersey. Heavy brace on that right knee that she injured right before the start of play last year. And her development and her continued improvement. And she's not 100%. No. Coach Poole told her she's maybe 80%. Here's Koenig. McKissick with a good first contact. And Isabel Martin, 6-foot redshirt senior out of Germany, a transfer from UNLV, registers the kill.
Martin new to this rivalry as she transferred into Florida, but looking good here early. She is the only player for Florida when Kennedy Martin was out of lineup who's playing in 6 rotations. So she's had a lot on her plate in the absence of Martin.
Here is Ellie McKissick, second all-time in terms of digs at the University of Florida, with 1,772, 5'6" in her 5th year out of Windermere with the service error.
Not the result Florida wanted on that serve, but it does give us a look into the strategy, as it appears Florida really trying to switch things up from the service line, go deep and short.
There's Kylene Filamawa and a block on the outside. I spoke with Kennedy Martin right before first serve and said, how do you feel? Are you ready to go? Physically, she's just fine. Otherwise, she wouldn't be on the court.
Exactly.
She's been cleared by all the trainers and all the doctors. I said, how many practices do you have under your belt? I had half a practice yesterday, so you might expect a little rust.
And realize a freshman setter on the floor for Florida, so they have only played in 1 match together ever. That was the first match of the season when Kennedy Martin was injured.
Florida State answers with a 3-0 run. Taylor Parks wearing number 20, again the freshman setter. Unique stature when she sets the ball. Locked out arms, trying to take the ball as high as she possibly can. Back to Martin, off the edge of the block and out of bounds. That's off of Arkansas transfer Taylor Head, wearing number 1 in garnet.
For Florida, the 2 middles starting tonight have not played over the past several weeks. That is Alec Roth in the middle, the freshman. She has played, but not in the middle. She's been swinging from the right side in the absence of Kennedy Martin. So she, along with Gabby Essex, in the middle tonight, a much different look for the Gators.
On the overpass, Martin with a quick kill.
Again, Paul, that point is created from the service line. Lots of pressure from the Gators coming from the serve.
Boy, very flat serve, but just missed that into the top of the tape. 3 service errors now for the Florida Gators, trying to put on as much pressure as they possibly can, and that's been to good effect. There's Mary Weiss, 970. Look at the winning percentage. And 521 weeks. Talk about consistency. 10 years and a week in the top 25. Kenna Phelan, very good jump serve. We saw that in practice this morning. And Roth is blocked on the right side. Pretty good blocking right now by the visitors from Tallahassee.
And in particular, number 1 in garnet and gold. That is a player Florida fans might recognize. Taylor Head, who spent 4 seasons at Arkansas, has transferred to Florida State. She is also an in-state player. So this is a big match for her, and she's doing a really nice job.
Emily Canaan on to pass in the middle of the reception, going after McKissick. Martin again. Filamawa, very nice dig. And Taylor Head off the top for the score for Florida State. And a Phelan out of Fayetteville, Arkansas, where Chris Poole began his Division I coaching career, was at Arkansas, started the Razorbacks program. When he got there, he was hired, but there was no team to coach. That wasn't until the next year. Pretty good jump serve, handled nicely by Canaan, and Martin out of the back row and right to area 1 in the right back.
And Florida breathes a sigh of relief to get Phelan off the service line. She's a very effective server, and Emily Canaan with 2 nice passes for the Gators there to help them rotate out of that particular rotation. When Phelan comes on the floor, along with her comes Kelsey Perry. They do a double sub with their middle blockers, a very unique lineup.
Filamawa right on target passing. And Taylor Head once again off the left.
Taylor Head so hard to defend, going high and deep that time. She has great range, ability to swing for the corners.
All SEC last year, 3rd team All-American, just under 4 kills per set, as she teamed with Jill the Thrill Gillen.
Yeah.
Ball a little bit tight. And as well, a little bit tight, but nice tip off the edge of the block by Jana Hinke, the 6'3" junior out of Germany, and the transfer from Cal State LA.
She spent that time at Cal State LA because she just didn't have the English yet to go to Florida State, but obviously has the volleyball.
Head back to serve. Very nice first contact. And Roth with a big arm, number 25, Alec Roth, 6'3" freshman out of Dublin, Ohio. The Ohio State Gatorade Player of the Year, wearing number 25 in white. Aaron Engel, 5'9" grad out of Fort Lauderdale, will come on and serve. Quality's pretty good. Florida State leading 11-9. Both teams good in reception. Florida State coming in at a very cool clip of 571. Another very good first contact. In transition. Koenig, what a stab in the backcourt. Beautifully done by Engel. Right side into the cross court once again by Henke.
In this 6-2 system with powerful pins, it is hard as an opponent to ever feel like you can take a breath against this Florida State team. They're relentless. They just keep coming at you.
Chris Poole was the 2023 ACC Coach of the Year when his team went 23-8, tied Pitt for the title. ACC is going to have a pretty good year when we get a chance to look at the top 10. Joust there, free ball coming. Nope. Florida cannot continue the play, and Florida State continuing to look very solid. What has been the key early on for Florida State to carve out this lead?
I just think the way they're running their offense from pin to pin, we really haven't seen a heavy dose of Corey Lewis yet. Wait till you see her out of the middle, one of the best attacking middles in the country. But right now it is pin to pin for Florida State, and they are hard to defend.
It's an excellent point about Lewis. She's only hitting .455. That ball right on top of the net and tapped down by Amaya Thomas. Excuse me, that is Essex on the floor for the first time, and good to see her back in. And as you mentioned, I talked to Mary Wise the very first day of training camp here in Gainesville. Essex was injured. Good flat deep serve. Really good. Oh, Filamawa with a spectacular dig. And then carving it off. That was Taylor Head with the dig. Filamawa with a beautiful slice.
That's the thing about these pins for Florida State. They are so good in their ball control side of their game. Taylor Head with some beautiful defense out of middle back. And then Filamawa, she played libero for this team a year ago when Dupes was injured. So you know she has good touch on the ball as well. And
how about the set by Phelan? Just one paw out there. Both teams, again, good in serve reception. And Martin over the top of the block, number 18 in white. Ripping off the top, another missed serve. And we have come to the media timeout. Opening set here in Gainesville. The battle for bragging rights in the Sunshine State. What'd you call it? The Sunshine State
Showdown.
You'll hear it again.
Look at that Wendy's breakfast burrito. Fresh cracked eggs, seasoned potatoes.
Set in Gainesville, Florida State on top of Florida, 15-11. And here's our Saturday ABC College football triple-header. Number 21, Clemson, hosts North Carolina State at noon Eastern, followed by number 16, LSU, hosting UCLA in Baton Rouge. Then at 7:30, a big matchup between 3-0 teams. Number 6, Tennessee, takes on number 15, Oklahoma, in the Sooners' first-ever SEC game. Each game is also available on ESPN+. Find live sports with Where to Watch only on the ESPN app and ESPN.com. The ultimate viewing guide to live sports. Back with Missy Whittemore. I'm Paul Sunderland. Audrey Koenig off to a fantastic start, as is number 18, Florida State. They come in at 7-1. They were picked 5th in the preseason poll. Florida picked 2nd in the SEC behind only newcomer Texas. And Texas has been a very interesting story so far on the year. They're currently at 500, 3-3, coming off a loss at Stanford. Stanford currently ranked number 2. McKissick back to serve. All 29 matches last year. at the libero when she averaged 4 digs per set, had 25 aces on the season. Perfect pass in system, and you said it. Wait till you get a hold of Corey Lewis, hitting .455 so far on the year.
This ball delivered by Lauren Robertson, who is just playing in her first season for Florida State, a transfer from Memphis. I asked Coach, was that a hard decision to put a new setter with Corey? But Lauren Robertson able to come in January. They have plenty of time to work together, and you can tell they've found a connection.
Got to keep that ball on your side of the court. An opportunity for Florida State, and a gift that time going to Alec Roth, number 25 in white. Has Florida State been up to the serving pressure so far from Florida?
I think they've handled it quite well.
That's a really good pass to that point by Koenig. In transition, Martin ripping inside. Taylor Head playing some spectacular defense. Off the edge of the block and down. 17, Martin again with a kill.
With Taylor Head and Filamaua digging that left side of the court, it is hard to score. So I like the variety we're seeing from Martin there as she went high off the top of the hands. Timeout
called by Chris Poole. They come in ranked at number 18. 2 timeouts allowed per team. First 4 sets to 25 points. 5th, if necessary, will be played to 15. Both of these teams with some real firepower and on display so far, Missy.
Yeah, I like to watch, you know, the chess match between these two coaches. We talked about it coming in, the first and second most winning coaches in active Division I volleyball have played each other every year since 1994 because, as you mentioned, Chris Poole started the program at Arkansas. So played against Mary Wise all his seasons at Arkansas and then took the job at Florida State. He said when he took that job, Mary Wise was the first one to call him.
Look at some of the notes on last year's match. That was in Tallahassee, won 16-14 in the 5th. Kennedy Martin led the way with 25 kills. A.C. Fitzpatrick, as you mentioned right off the top, also very, very good. Andre Koenig was 14 of 24, and Corey Lewis outstanding as well. Corey Lewis spent some time training in the USA gym this summer before the Paris Olympic Games. Very, very talented middle. And we didn't mention her name all the way up and including the media timeout.
Yeah, that's how many players Florida State has right now. They are able to play in a system where they have 3 pins who play in 6 rotations. It gives them a lot of chemistry and rhythm on the floor. On the opposite side, Florida using some defensive specialist subs in order to max out their talent. But yet Florida in a 5-1, Florida State in a 6-2. So 2 very different looking teams, and yet both coaches getting so much out of their talent.
Martin off to a good start once again. If you're just joining us, out with a high left ankle sprain, suffered against Colorado State. Opening official match of the year on August 30th. Has been cleared, obviously, medically to play, and just back practicing and shaking off a little rust. And no rust there. Taylor Head, returning and transfer All-American. What a career she had at Arkansas before finishing it off at Florida State. There are some of the very notable transfers. The opposite out of Kentucky going to Texas. Reagan Rutherford, Taylor Landfair, former Big Ten Player of the Year, ends up at Nebraska.
Notice Rutherford and Head, though, both transferring within conference, within the SEC. Very interesting. Well, excuse me, Head, no. She's going from SEC to ACC. Excuse me.
Fitzpatrick back on, 5'11", 5th year out of nearby Ocala. There is Taylor Head. Has already shown, and you talked about the outsides or the pin hitters and the plethora that Florida State has. It gives them an awful lot of very good all-around volleyball players. Koenig out of the back row. And Martin answers as well, looking for a touch off the line. I thought there was a touch for sure. The lines person missed it. Okay, they missed calls too, but there was indeed a touch off the top of the block.
I had wondered, would we see Kennedy Martin in 6 rotations in her first match back in the lineup? And yes, we do. And she's swinging out of the back row as well.
Filamaua, another expert pass, easily read by Martin. Perfect set in transition, but a better block by Florida State.
That is Kelsey Perry in the middle for Florida State, wearing number 3. One of the players on Iowa State but she is surrounded by a lot of experience, that's for sure. And how about playing in the same gym with Corey Lewis? That's good training.
Fourth block for Florida State, none yet for Florida. Ball a little tight, but going over. A.C. Fitzpatrick has got a rapid-fire arm.
Taylor Parks off the net there and still puts that ball in a really nice window. A.C. Fitzpatrick turning it down the line. Aaron Engel on to serve for Florida. And the question is, who do you serve at in this Florida State serve receive when you have Head, Filamawa, and Koenig on the floor? All very good passers, but notice, Paul, there was no libero out there.
Perfect reception in any case. Beautifully executed, but ball hit just out of bounds by the reigning co-player of the year. There is Mary Wise. 25 SEC championships, fifth tie of the opening set, 18 apiece. Right back to Koenig. Did you like to do that as a setter, Missy?
I did. Give him another chance because Koenig had made the choice to go down the line over Florida's setter, the smaller block in the front row. It was the right choice. She just misses there by a foot. Go right back to her. She corrects the error.
One of the things when I was studying up on Audrey Koenig, as mentioned, the co-reigning player of the year, played all 111 sets last year. She does not sit out. Oh, what a big swing. A nice addition. Essex coming back on for Florida.
That quick set away from the setter. Able to create just a one-block opportunity for Gabby Essex. She cuts it right inside that blocker.
6'3" senior out of Homer, Alabama, hit 276 last year. There are some arms in this match that have been on display. Filamawa, number 12 in Garnet, successful again. Both teams very, very efficient. Florida State hitting over 400 and Florida now at 321. Well played opening set. Florida State on top by 1. They have led by as many as 3. The Sunshine State Showdown.
There you go.
No, I messed it up. Give me enough practice, I'll get it. Free ball coming. Right side, Koenig, stabbed by McKissick.
We got to see that again, Paul. What a dig by Ellie McKissick. Free ball opportunity, so you know something good is coming from Florida State. It is an absolute rip down the line by Audrey Koenig, and with one arm, McKissick in complete control.
One arm bandit. What else have you got? Once again, second all time in terms of digs at this very, very elite Florida program. Filamawa, a very rare unforced error by Florida State. First lead since 7-6 for the Gators. Second timeout called by Chris Poole on the sideline for Florida State. We will step aside. Opening set here in Gainesville. A rivalry match between Florida and Florida State.
A beard that doesn't itch.
Is you using King C. Gillette on that thing?
King C. Gillette.
Look, this beard trimmer pro's got it.
Good crowd on hand here at Gainesville for number 18 Florida State visiting number 16 Florida, back with former Florida Gator. Are you always a Gator? I think you're always a Gator. Missy Whittemore, I'm Paul Sunderland. Allie McKissick, a spectacular dig leading to a score. And the first lead since 7-6 for the Florida Gators, getting healthy. Essex back in the lineup, and Kennedy Martin back for the first time since the end of August, the All-American opposite, out with a very serious high left ankle sprain. Good news for volleyball fans, let alone Gator volleyball fans. She's one of the best in the country. There she is right there on the right of your screen. Kanan back to serve. Perfect pass, and Lewis, number 8 in Garnet, skying crossbody.
That's a perfect pass for Florida State, as you said, so it's not hard to get her the ball. But what I like about Florida State is that even when the pass is off the net, they are not afraid to push their middles.
Libero Emery Dukes, we talked about that heavy knee brace, injured last August, missed the entire year, still not 100%, but that was an absolutely 100% pass. Out of system swing, well off the net by Martin, and pulls it down the line. What an impressive swing.
It's so important to be good at a system if you want to win sets, if you want to win these battles within the war, and that is a really good example of being good at a system.
Fourth kill for Martin here in the opener. Boy, do not serve the libero, or you're going to get tagged. Serving right at Emery Dupes and up to the task.
I'm hopeful that we'll see Emery Dupes in this entire match, Paul. As you mentioned earlier, they're still conditioning her, bringing her back into playing form. So we've seen her play in matches, sometimes just play 1 or 2 sets, but we sure hope that she's getting closer and closer to 100%.
Off the edge of the block and out of bounds. Net violation called against Florida State. Look at the efficiency for both of these teams. Seminoles 385, the Gators at 355. Perfect reception and off the edge again. Corey Lewis, quiet no more. We didn't call her name early on in this match, but we will early and often. One of the best attacking middle blockers in the country.
And I said it, I do not envy Florida as they try to figure out who to serve on this great ball control Florida State team. I think they have to go at seams and change their serve short to deep to try to move these passers.
10th tie of the opening set speaks to the quality of both of these teams. Thielen serve well handled into the middle to Roth over the top. Set point now for Florida. Crowd on their feet. Set point number 1 for Martin. Fitzpatrick going off speed, feeling all over that. What a good swing by Taylor head, but just out of bounds. We might have a challenge. That was a high quality swing, but just long. Nope, we're going to change sides. There will not be a challenge. Very well played opening half. Into the red zone, Florida was able to come out on top 25-23.
Good stuff. When you've got Florida hitting 394 and Florida State hitting 345, that's what top 20 matches are made of.
A Chewy order for Rue is on the way. Purina One, his favorite food.
This is the SEC on ESPN. Florida and Florida State, an outstanding opening set. Really good balance, Missy, as you pointed out as we were going to commercial right at the end of that first set, 125-23 by Florida. Look at the balance. The serve reception numbers got to be off the charts as we look at some of the totals. Florida out hit.
Not one on errors. That is really efficient.
Their averages, Florida State averages 18.5 points per set, and Florida just below that at 17.8. So those were not. Set point was a mistake by head, but barely. It was a very, very good swing, just out of bounds. And Chris Poole going back, and the only loss in the column for Florida State was at Auburn. Auburn, a very much improved program under Brent Crouch at Auburn University. They hit 30. They had 33 hitting errors in that one. And Coach Poole said it was just one of those matches. Good swing, just out. Good swing, just out. Good swing, just out of bounds. And that's the way it goes sometimes.
And it's a lot like that set point we just saw. As you said, a really nice swing by Taylor Head, just inches out. We saw that free ball swing by Audrey Koenig when she cranked it down the line, just out. And Coach said we're in system a lot, but we also have to be good at a system. And he said we have to make sure that we rein in those errors like we had against Auburn. And in a set that close, that can come back to haunt you.
Florida got off to a good start, back-to-back points, and then closed it out with back-to-back points. And in between, there were 10 or 11 ties. Underway, second set. Here in Gainesville. Picked up by Koenig. That ball off the top of the block and defended by Taylor Head. And the opening point once again goes to the Florida Gators, currently ranked number 16, 6-2 coming in. And the really good news is that Kennedy Martin, their returning All-American opposite, back in the lineup.
And Paul, you mentioned prior to the match you had not seen Kennedy Martin live in person. It is quite a treat for someone who has seen her quite a bit. I will say a slight bit of rust, but the good news is Kennedy Martin, even with rust, still makes a huge impact on a match, doesn't she? And I expect her to get better and better.
Well, and when you look at the calendar for both of these teams and the teams all around the country, the non-conference is winding down, so the timing could not be better. All Florida needs to do now is get their All-American setter, Alexis Stuckey, back in the lineup. Serious knee injury a little bit over a year ago. I talked to her before the match, and she's very eager to get back into competition. There she is on the sideline, one of the very best in the business. Redshirt sophomore out of Laramie, Wyoming. It was back on September 17th versus #1 Wisconsin. Tore her MCL and ACL. At the time, Florida was playing like the best team in the country. They were 8-0 with wins at Stanford over Minnesota, and they were up on Wisconsin 2-0 before Stuckey went down. Koenig through the block and down. Just to finish the thought on Stuckey, I spoke with head coach Mary Wise, and I said, what is the timetable? She said, we listen to the doctors, we listen to our strength and conditioning staff. The target has been the middle of October, but it could be sooner. Could be. We hope for that. She's one of the best.
Florida certainly starts conference play with a bang. Texas and Kentucky right away, so they need those players back on the floor.
Henke along with Lewis, a stuff block. That is the 5th right now for Florida State. There is the look from behind. What are the Florida receivers? What do? They pass the ball right on target, create a one-on-one for Kennedy Martin.
Not only do they pass right on target, Paul, but you could see the outside just backs away as the ball is served. You've really got Canaan and McKissick passing the entire court. So they're just splitting the court there.
Tough serve, just out of bounds over the end line. Taylor Parks came in January after he was made aware of the injury to Stuckey. 5'11" freshman out of Clearwater, Florida. Mentioned her resume. First team high school All-American. Your thoughts about how she has stepped in wearing number 20. And don't worry about the tape on her wrist. I talked to her about it before the match. It's just preventative. She's just fine.
Well, my thoughts, I don't know if they're as important as the numbers, and the numbers say she is doing a really nice job. Hitting efficiency for the team at this point is .307. That's 7th best in the nation with a freshman stepping into set. Very impressed with Taylor Parks.
And without Kennedy Martin for all but one match. So kudos once again to Parks. Really good swing by Martin, but just out of bounds, and I do mean just. Watch this serve by 5'7" sophomore Kenna Phelan. McKissick says no problem. And trying to be a little too clever, missed that into the net, and a very pained expression on the sideline from head coach Chris Poole.
A few more hitting errors for Florida State so far in this match than Florida. But Florida State really scoring some points with their block. They have registered 5 blocks already. And interestingly, Florida yet to register a block for a point. Very interesting.
There is Martin once again, had 19 kills against South Florida. And there is 6'4" redshirt sophomore, the transfer from Iowa State, Kelsey Perry. $11 ties in the opening set before Florida came out on top 25-23. Rare out-of-system swing. We always say in-system, out-of-system. Take us into the dictionary, would you please?
Well,
and why it's so important.
It's either a non-setter delivering second contact, or it's the setter well off the net having to use her platform to throw a ball to the outside. So you're not getting a true in-system set.
And that ball missed just out of bounds. If you're in system, teams are going to side out. First ball side out at about 55%. Out of system, it's way down in the high 20s, low 30s. Huge difference, vitally important. They're an Engelong, 5'9" grad. Transfer from Maryland. Very, very good jump float serve. Head says no problem. Nicely done by number 7, Phelan.
Because the setter for Florida State is always in the back row, Phelan has to take that ball below the top of the net. So you see she brings those hands down low and sends it over.
Out of Fayetteville, Arkansas. Mother Jessica played for Coach Chris Poole at Arkansas and was an All-American there, so the apple doesn't roll far from the tree.
With that missed serve, you do see Emory Dupes come onto the court for Florida State as they're using their libero exchange with their right side player. And so only in 3 rotations does Florida State have a libero on the floor.
Oh, what a block. Huge stuff by Perry.
Look at the strength above her head from Kelsey Perry. She waits, perfect timing, hands over the net, particularly that left hand, as the outside attacker typically tries to go off that left hand, and she holds it steady.
Look at that differential when it comes to scoring blocks. There's Robertson. And that ball high up into the hands and out of bounds. Gabrielle Essex, another bonus getting back into the lineup for the Florida Gators. If these teams, I'm just looking at the quality of play. If these are number 16 and number 18, my goodness, how good is the game right now? Number 1 Pitt at home against Penn State tomorrow on the ACC network.
As rivalry week continues.
Pretty good pass by Dupes. That ball was served very well, and Koenig missed it just out of bounds over the top. Number 4 in Garnett.
Not the most comfortable looking swing for Koenig as a right-handed player over there on the right side, and she's being asked to take more balls over there. She's a bigger physical pin attacker. Taylor Head and Filamawa not as comfortable on the right side.
Filamawa, very nice swing to get Florida State out of trouble. Looking at Andre Koenig once again with Anna DeBeer of Louisville, the co-player of the year. A little bit of a slow start, 4 of 13 with 3 errors, barely over 100. Taken 13 swings, only 1 net point for Florida State, and missed that badly out of bounds. They need more from her. McKissick will go back to serve. Very, very well played opening set. Once again won by Florida.
McKissick out of Windermere, Florida, one of the many Floridians in this in-state matchup.
It's not worth breaking it.
Saved by Florida. Good read by Martin. Back to the other Martin. That was very close to outside the antenna. Magnificent by both teams. Very hittable for Head. Through the block and down.
And I appreciate the applause from the crowd, because although they didn't like the result of that, it was a really great point.
There were 4 or 5 very classy plays in that rally. Very classy, none better than the dig by Emory Dupes.
Yes.
Tight again, nicely saved. Hammered by Roth out of the middle.
Talk about a house divided. What if I told you the Florida ball girl just happened to be the cousin of Taylor Head?
It's a small world.
Isn't it, though? And I think I remember you telling me prior to the match, Alec Roth has got an arm. Yep. I think you were right.
No, there's no question about that. Taylor Head, we talked about the career she had at Arkansas. Her 5th graduate and COVID year. She's from Winter Garden, Florida. Was All-SEC last year, 3rd-team All-American. Numbers in terms of efficiency are down marginally. Hit in the 230s last year, only 205. So still finding her way with the setting situation. We have a challenge. Two challenges per match, at least through the first 4 sets, if that's how it goes. Several categories can be challenged. This is in the plane. It's a back row blocking challenge. If you are correct, you basically have an infinite number. You can challenge in or out, touch off the block, touch off a player in the backcourt, ball up or down, foot fault on the service line, foot fault on the 3-meter line. Okay. Explain the ruling.
The back row block would have gone against Florida.
Correct.
Had the blocker from Florida State contacted that ball, but I do not think she did. The Florida setter was able to go up and make an offensive play on the ball, which the setter is allowed to go up above the net and make an offensive play if she brings it back to her own attacker. Had she attacked it and then Florida State touched it as a blocker, she would have inadvertently become a back row attacker.
I agree with that 110%, Missy Whittemore. Corey Lewis was trying to get to that, but Taylor Parks just did a better job as the setter, getting up there and going high to get that ball. Now, unforced error, been rare on both sides. That's Isabel Martin, the transfer from UNLV. Just going a little bit too low into the top of the tape.
You saw where she was going from our angle because she's trying to hit that ball right at us. But when you've registered 6 blocks in the match already, it makes the attacker think a bit.
Phelan, very, very aggressive from the service line. At only 5'7", a very good jump spin serve. And missed that just long, just not quite enough top spin on that one. Thought it was good, but was clearly out of bounds.
Interestingly, one of the things that Coach Poole likes about pairing Phelan with Kelsey Perry in the lineup is that when Phelan serves, that means Corey Lewis is not on the floor. And he likes her serve, and he likes how aggressive she is, but it is going to be higher error. And if she misses, that is somewhat of a wasted rotation with Corey Lewis on the floor.
Koenig, excellent in reception. And the first block registered for the Florida Gators.
It's going to go to A.C. Fitzpatrick out there on the left side. Nice job of turning that one back in, but a little different look for the Florida Gators, who are typically known for scoring points with their middle block. 2 new middles in the match tonight, and it's a bit of an offensive look out of the middle for Florida.
Filamawa has got a wonderful sense for the game. All over that off speed, and once again with another dig. Wonderful first contact. And off the block deflection. Alec Roth with a kill.
Can't you tell Filamawa spent an entire season in the Libero jersey? The way she plays across the backcourt, incredible.
A wonderful get for Florida State and Chris Poole out of Bothell, Washington, the Washington State Gatorade Player of the Year, All-ACC freshman team last season. Just out of bounds. Filamawa went, oh my goodness, that was really close. Taylor Head will go back to serve. Florida won the opening set 25-23. Been very close, 11 ties in that opening set, and here is Head. Head now with 4 kills on 11 swings. We'll give you some of the offensive leaders after this point. This is how you, this is out of system. Feeling all over that. Koenig missed it down the line. She's missed a couple cross body.
That's the one you can't miss. Free ball opportunity. Florida did the right thing in their out-of-system look. They made Phelan take first contact. So they created, from their out-of-system look, an out-of-system look from Florida State as well.
Emerson Hoyle, 5'10" junior from Arden, North Carolina, on for the first time. I'll get back to those scoring leaders after this point, working on Koenig. Martin just detonating off the back row. That one was taken heavily by Kelsey Perry, right off the noggin. We have come to our media timeout. A thunderous swing that time by Kennedy Martin. 15-13 is the advantage. You're watching the SEC on ESPN.
We've never spoken, but you've told us many things. That you love stargazing, hate parallel parking, and
Welcome back to Gainesville, and what do you know? A really good volleyball match and a really good crowd on hand. Florida up 1-0. Kennedy Martin, ouch! Off the dome of Kelsey Perry. Perry is just fine. Looked over, she is just fine. And Kennedy Martin checked as well, but The rust is coming off in chunks.
That tells you just how high above the net Kelsey Perry plays. Her head is above the net as she goes up to block that ball. Incredible athleticism on the floor.
Martin leading the way with 8 kills. Roth has 6. Isabel Martin has 4. Good balance for both of these teams. Good block deflection. That ball should come up. That was pretty good work, but Koenig, much needed kill that time for Florida State. Koenig averaging 3.4 kills, hitting .281, 2.7 digs. Really good all-around volleyball player. Here is Dukes, the libero, been impressive in receive. Free ball for Florida State. Smart. Koenig again trying to really get her going.
And you see just how dangerous she can be. Just her athleticism up over the top of the block here. Getting her some looks, I think, from the left pin right now is really important, Paul, to help her create some rhythm here.
Outstanding athlete, 6'3" senior out of Wesley Chapel, Florida. On the overpass, that is thrown down by Perry. Florida State now on a 3-0 run to recapture the lead. They led by as many as 3 early. Florida came back to tie it up. Timeout here called by Mary Wise and the Florida Gators, with Florida State and Audrey Koenig back on top 16-15.
Florida State has found a little something from the service line. They're really going after Izzy Martin right now in serve receive. She's that 6th rotation outside for Florida, who's asked to do a whole lot, and they are forcing her to play balls on first contact.
Told you we had a big week coming up. Well, a top 20 volleyball doubleheader we have for you tomorrow night on ESPN. And the 4th-ranked Louisville squares off against the 11th-ranked Kentucky Wildcats in the Battle of the Bluegrass State at 7 Eastern. Then Texas, the 2-time defending national champs, who are currently ranked 8th this week, take on number 20 Baylor in Waco. And over on the ACC network at 7 Eastern time, it's number 1, the Pitt Panthers, taking on number 3, Penn State. So you got Texas and Baylor. You've got Louisville and Kentucky, and you've got Pitt and Penn State. I mentioned that it was going to be an incredible week of college volleyball. Look, I'm prone to hyperbole. I'm sorry, it's how I roll, but that was not hyperbolic how I described that week, or the coming week.
Really cannot wait to see number 1 Pitt against number 3 Penn State. That one, I think, is just going to be a thriller.
Stanford is at Nebraska, then Nebraska and Louisville on ABC, the first ever match, regular season, if you will, on ABC. And then Kentucky at Stanford. Just a wonderful, wonderful week. And kudos to the coaches for all these top-ranked teams really getting out there and playing one another. Wisconsin, look what they had to go through first. I didn't think they were going to win their first 3 matches, but I didn't think they were going to lose all 3 either. They lost to Louisville, Stanford, and Texas to start the season. At the end of the year, or maybe even long before the end of the year, Wisconsin Badgers are certainly going to be back in the national championship conversation.
That is perhaps the most difficult serve-receive pattern there for Florida. And Florida State, when they were able to keep it off of Ellie McKissick, had some success.
That's a lot of service errors if you just go by the numbers, but you have to put on pressure. You got to get teams out of system. Koenig is a really good receiver. Filamawa, number 12 in Garnet, with the kill.
Curious to see here, will Koenig stay on the right pin, or will they send her to the left side, hoping to get a little more high-octane offense and send Filamawa to the right side?
Well, we'll see. We'll be able to see where Koenig goes. She's going to stay matched up against Martin. I like that matchup. And very smart set going into the middle once again to Essex.
The thing about the middle attack, it comes at you so fast, Paul. The defense doesn't have time to get established, and it's regularly a one-on-one opportunity, whereas the pin players do not have that luxury.
Tied at 17. For the match, Florida hitting 302, Florida State 278. Here is Kanan, and misses that out of bounds. That is 15 service errors combined between these 2 ranked teams. Florida again coming in at 16 and Florida State at 18. Just the 2nd match on the season that the returning All-American Kennedy Martin has participated in. Here is Koenig. Righted the ship a little bit offensively. And another service error. This is like a men's volleyball match. There's so many service errors.
I think they're going to have to reel them in. Both of these teams are aggressive from the service line, and it does pay off for them. In their last match against UCF, Florida State scored 13 aces and 13 blocks. That's a combined 26 points between blocking and serving. But I think right now they got to put the ball in play.
McKissick, not a service winner yet. Martin rolling. Tried to recycle, but Lewis got a hand on it. Filamawa, heavy heat off the right side. Missy, once again, I agree with you 110%. As Karch Kirai said, who's coached the United States women to a gold medal, a silver medal, and a world championship, our goal is to serve in 90% of the time and keep our opponent at or about 2. When I say 2, what do I mean reception-wise?
So your passers are graded on their passing. A perfect pass is a 3 because that means that the setter has 3 options. They can set any of their 3 attackers. A 2 would mean that the setter only has 2 options. And Coach Poole actually told us that at FSU, his passers are averaging between 2.25 and 2.5. That's a very high number.
Well, we've seen that. Both teams have been very good in reception, but particularly Florida State. 10th tie, just like the opening set, and another missed serve. Florida State, a little bit of futility here, starting to creep into this match, as otherwise in all the other phases played very well. No aces for Florida State, 9 errors. 1 ace so far for Florida with 8 errors. Phelan trying to get it going with this hard jump serve. Mission accomplished out of system. Martin drilling inside the block. Excuse me, that's Fitzpatrick.
You're right, Paul. It's Martin. We're kind of blocked here from view.
Have a great view of the referee stand. I'm trying to work around it. I'm bobbing back and forth. I'm doing the best I can.
I thought that was a really mature decision by Ellie McKissick to call off the setter. She had a better angle. It was going to be out of system either way, and she took second contact. I like that choice.
And here is Martin, who registered that kill. Like that rhythm, smart, off the edge and out of bounds.
Rhythm being the key word there, Paul. When Taylor Head is in rhythm, you can create some speed for her to the left pin. She is so smooth.
Koenig with 6 kills. Filamawa with 6. Taylor Head now with 5. Update the hitting efficiency numbers. I think I had Florida and Florida State backwards in this Sunshine State showdown. What a stab by Head. Hittable ball for Koenig. And looking high hands. That was A.C. Fitzpatrick. And we might have a challenge. Quality swing by Fitzpatrick, but just over the top of the block. And a timeout is called by Florida. Florida State on top 22-20. And it is Florida State right now for the match, out hitting Florida at 321. Florida has really cooled off offensively in the second set, hitting only 115. And it's the hitting errors, and that one by Fitzpatrick. 26 swings, 6 hitting errors for the Florida Gators.
For as good as the quality was in set 1, we've just seen more errors here in the second set. For Florida, it's been the attack errors. They're hitting at only 115 in the second set alone. And for Florida State, the hitting efficiency remains strong at 296 in the current set, but they have service errors that are hurting them.
Florida going to be looking for a side out in reception when we come back out on the floor. Here's Sunday's featured NWSL match with Gotham's 2-0 win over the Reign Monday night. They moved into third arena. Coverage kicks off at 1 Eastern on ESPN2. Paul Sunderland, you're very, very, very familiar with this rivalry. These teams go at one another in every sport that's on the docket. And 2 outstanding universities and programs, and a very nice crowd on hand for this one. Ranked 16 and 18, and once again, if these are teams ranked 16 and 18.
Yes. And if you're just joining us, yes, that was a red-faced Kennedy Martin, which is a very good sign for Florida fans. She is back in the lineup for the first time since August 30th and Florida's opening match. And of course, making quite the impact. She leads all players right now with 8 kills on 15 attempts, hitting 400 in her first match back.
With half a practice under her belt.
Right.
Here is Head, been superb all around. Good reception by Martin. And Roth again off the right side.
In the absence of Kennedy Martin, Florida actually used Roth, the middle blocker, as a right side attacker. So she's been in the lineup, but she's been swinging from the right side, and that's actually working to Florida's advantage right now in serve receive, because she's real comfortable swinging from that pin in that particular serve receive pattern.
Koenig very much up to the task in reception and in attacking. Dupes the libero. Tough serve. Emery Dupes, not only that severely injured left knee, but also has pins in her left ankle. She was all ACC as a freshman and then injured the ankle and had to have surgery eventually. So going through a lot. Set point number 1. To Koenig, tapping down, dud by McKissick. Saving swing by Fitzpatrick. Set point number 2. Head looking high, hands looking for a touch. We're going to have a challenge. Yeah. Kenna Phelan, one of the 2 setters, said that the linesman in the far corner called a touch, but it was not recognized by the first referee. Well, the Florida State Seminoles certainly thought there was one.
Well, we wondered if the final swing by Taylor Head to inset 1 would be challenged by Coach Poole. It looked like perhaps there's a possibility of a touch there. They chose not to challenge. Here in the second set, another high swing from Taylor Head.
You heard it right there. Good work by the officials. There was a touch. And so very important for a couple of reasons, maybe 3. 1, Taylor Head gets the kill. 2, Florida State evens the match at a set apiece. And Chris Poole now has 1 challenge remaining because he was correct. He had used 1 previously, and so Taylor Head registers the kill. She now has 5 kills, and Florida State comes back to take the second set. We will step aside. Both teams will head to their respective locker rooms. Rivalry indeed, tied at 1 set apiece. This is the SEC on ESPN. Welcome back. Week. And we've had a really strong and well-played match. And there is Chris Poole, head coach for Florida State. Obviously a well-played first set. You came up just a little bit short. What was the biggest difference in the second, Coach?
We were just a little bit more consistent. We made some mistakes there, unfortunately, in that first set that really hurt us. We're trying to, we've got a balance between being aggressive with our serve, but not being reckless. And, we've missed a few of those in some key situations. So we've got to be consistent. If you're going to beat a team like Florida, particularly with the lineup that they've got, you're going to have to stay consistent and eliminate your errors as much as possible.
Coach, you mentioned Florida's lineup. Had no idea what you would get, and you get Gabby Essex and Kennedy Martin.
Lucky us.
Are there adjustments that you try to make on the fly here?
Well, we know they're both physical players, experienced players, and they've just added to their lineup for sure.
Well, Chris, Mary's one of your best friends in the business. She wanted to give you her best shot.
Yeah.
So they did. Yeah. Indeed. Very well played contest so far. Thanks for spending some time with us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And Mary Wise, 34th year here in Gainesville. Chris Poole, after 14 years in his beloved Arkansas. He told us on the call the other day, I'm just a country boy from Arkansas. And he built that program from zero. And Mary Wise's program at Florida was his model and was his template.
Yeah. As we said, they've played every year since 1994 during his 14 years there in the SEC. He was only second to Mary Wise in SEC victories. He really put that program on the map. And to watch the success that his now player Taylor Head had there over the last several seasons, he said he was a proud fan.
Ed had the closing kill, 6 of 13. Both teams very efficient, but if you're looking at Florida, they're one of the better defensive teams and blocking teams historically year in, year out. And right now, Florida State is putting a .339 efficiency on there. That is really, really strong numbers.
Well, and it's the result of the fact that Florida has 1 block in 2 sets. You do not see that very often. 2 middle blockers tonight playing for Florida who haven't played in the middle blocker position in quite a while.
Koenig again, fantastic in reception to start the 3rd set. Best 3 out of 5, dug by Dukes. Philly Maua has got a wonderful feel for the game, really good read. That ball off the top of the block, very smart swing that time by number 17 in white, Isabel Martin out of Germany.
And Florida starts in a rotation with AC Fitzpatrick in the back row for a couple rotations here. She doesn't typically play across the back row for them.
All 3 setters in this match, including 5-1 setter. I don't mean 5-1 in terms of height. 1 setter, 5 hitters. Taylor Parks. Philly Maua missed that. Into the top of the tape. Taylor Parks so far wearing number 20. Stepping in as the starting setter. Alexis Stuckey still some time away. Both these teams a busy weekend before they get ready to start play in conference, SEC and ACC respectively. A rare miss by McKissick in area 5, which is the left back, number 23 in the libero jersey.
A cross-court shot that had McKissick shaking her head as immediately she wanted that one back.
Robertson, one of the 2 setters, along with Kenna Phelan, back to serve for Florida State. Tied at 1 set apiece. Dug by Head, but not enough air underneath that. And Essex has given Florida a nice lift in the middle. Back in the lineup after just joining us. Injured her leg, a hamstring injury, on the very first day of training camp. This is her first action of the year.
And then we said not a lot of blocking out of the middle, but I sure do like the offense we're getting from the Florida middles.
Essex now with 5 kills on 7 swings. Beautiful dig. McKissick has got that up. Pancake is good. Florida State thought the ball was down. And now it finally is. Nice read by number 8 in Garnett Lewis. ACC Co-Player of the Year. Another look back at this.
We've got Ellie McKissick fixing her hair, and they're blowing for the serve.
Guess you have to learn how to do that very quickly.
That's right.
Good pass by Fitzpatrick. Oh, Koenig wanted to take a rip out of that out of the back row. And Fitzpatrick does, number 0 for Florida.
Parks does a good job of shooting one past Gabby Essex here, and that held the middle blocker just long enough. Corey Lewis not able to close. A. Fitzpatrick takes advantage.
Missy, you were talking the middle efficiency. Essex is 5 of 7, and Roth, back in her natural position, is 8 of 11, with only 1 error off all those swings, off 19 swings.
I'll give up a few blocks for that.
A point is a point.
That's exactly right.
Just underway here in the 3rd, tied at a set apiece. Nice pass. That was a tough serve. Dug by McKissick again. Not going to miss twice in a row. Tough chance for Koenig out of the back row. Where do you go if you're Robertson? Tucking that ball inside of Roth. Fitzpatrick. Rally swing and another block by Florida State.
Take another look after that long rally. AC Fitzpatrick doing everything she can to get in hitting position. And as the pins change for Florida State, it's Philly Maua that time out at the right side pin, but it's another block for Florida State.
7 blocks for the Seminoles to only 1 for the Gators. And you heard head coach Chris Poole in his 17th year on the sideline for Florida State, talking about the serving and being more consistent, putting some pressure on Florida. Too many freebies.
Perfect wording there by Coach Poole, as he said, we need to be aggressive, but not reckless.
Working on Koenig, and she has been up to it in reception, as is Corey Lewis. Lewis, 6'3" senior, out of right there in Tallahassee, ACC first team, honorable mention All-American, and was one of a handful of college players asked to come train in the spring with Team USA.
Well, because they run a 6-2 and there's always a right pin attacker, neither of the middle blockers for Florida State ever run a true slide behind off 1 foot, but a slight adjustment in her attack pattern there as Corey Lewis goes behind and the Florida blocker is caught reaching.
Lewis, awkward chance, trying to keep that ball in play. And back to Corey Lewis, once again wearing number 8 for Florida State. Last year she hit .432, which was the 4th best efficiency in all of NCAA Division I. She goes to the sideline, giving way now for some passing help. This year she's improved, hitting .455.
And that's a hard number to improve on, by the way. Very impressive.
Number 7, Kanan on to serve. Head through the block. Martin can't quite keep that ball alive. What do you think about Audrey Koenig as a serving target? How is she held up to Florida's serving pressure?
I think the passing line for Florida State has been very good. So solid. It doesn't matter who's back there. And as we said, realize they're only using a libero in 3 rotations. That is the ball control that they have with their 3 6 rotation pins. Taylor Head, Audrey Koenig, and Philomala. All 3 can pass that ball.
Tough serve by Taylor Head, working on Martin and registering the ace. Coming in, Florida State had 52 aces against only 66 errors. That's a very good ratio. And another one, free ball coming. Not down yet. Philomala stepping in. Good block touch. Oh, what a stab by Head. Not smart. A brilliant swing by Koenig.
It was a nice block deflection by Alec Roth, actually, but that ball high off hands is just so hard to track down. Florida State all over Isabel Martin right now from the service line late in set 2. They bring that strategy on into set 3. Can Ellie McKissick cover her up a bit?
Working short, Martin out of the back row. Working high hands. Martin now with 9 kills on 18. Hoyle coming on to serve. If you're just joining us, first match for number 18 in white. 6'6", opposite All-American Kennedy Martin since August 30th. Severely sprained left ankle. Florida State's offense is so rhythmic, so good.
And there are options in every single rotation. They are not afraid to set all 3 attackers and often a back row option in every rotation.
Koenig has been very, very clean, has not added to her error total. 9 kills on 27. And here is Dupes on for just 3 rotations. It's a very unique system run by Florida State. Oh, Essex absolutely unloading.
Did you notice the point she just gave Emily Canan? Nice pass, she said, because that is the result of, as you mentioned earlier, a 3-option pass, Paul.
Parks has been outstanding running this 1-setter, 5-hitter attack so far for the Florida Gators. A look from behind. Not a perfect set, but Koenig gets the job done through the seam.
These pin attackers for Florida State, so good swinging into the seam. They just create errors with the way that they're able to swing high into the blocker's hands. They make any blocking error cost.
Koenig now in double figures. Now a look at the Florida reception. McKissick taking a lot of court, and they go away from her. Perfect pass by Martin. Both teams have been outstanding. In reception, trying to put on some service pressure and break it down. Isabel Martin, now 7 kills on 15 swings. Florida hit 320 for the match. Florida State 333. Serve well long. Koenig leading the way in double figures, as I mentioned. Taylor had 7 kills. Kylene Filimawa with 7 kills and doing everything else defensively as his head. Overpass, and Lewis will tap that down.
Well, that's not an ace, but it certainly is a point created from the service line. We only have 3 aces in this match, but these teams are being aggressive from the service line as we have a combined 19 errors.
Back to back. Doesn't go down as an ace if a receiver touches the ball. I want another category. We have SA, service A. I want service winner.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
Create an overpass.
The coaches are certainly very aware of which players are serving service winners. We just don't see it in the general box score. Florida's actually made a change in their serve receive. That's how well Audrey Koenig is serving it right now.
Bella Lee, number 21, coming on. McKissick cuts in front. Block touch. Chance for Florida State to extend their lead. Fitzpatrick over the top.
Hard and right through the seam of the block for AC Fitzpatrick.
Just an outstanding swing by number 0, 5'11", out of Ocala. Transfer from Penn State, but now 3rd year in Florida. Here's McKissick. Florida State leading by 2. Look at Dukes. Dukes with the reception made that all possible.
Really solid in serve receive, this Florida State team.
Filimawa out of Bothell, Washington. The Gatorade State Player of the Year. Overpass. Taylor head.
Serve receive the difference right now, Paul.
The biggest lead, and it is 4 for Florida State, tied at 1 set apiece. Aggressive throwdown that time by Alec Roth.
Alec Roth is a fun freshman. She plays with a lot of energy. She plays really hard.
First team high school All-American, and like Filimawa, the Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of Ohio. Tough serve. Pretty well handled given the quality. Corey Lewis again.
The angles that Corey Lewis creates with the height she plays above the net become very difficult to defend.
Lewis gets Florida State to the 15-11 lead. We'll take the media timeout here in Gainesville.
You never want to lose your edge.
The 67th meeting all-time, better of it, but in this particular moment, it's number 18 Florida State taking on number 16 Florida, 15-11 with Missy Whittemore on Paul Sunderland. The difference in this 3rd set, more offense from Corey Lewis. Look at the numbers, 643 efficiency, but overall Florida and Florida State in the 3rd.
The difference, I think, is happening at the service line with the pressure that Florida State has been able to keep on. And after 2 sets, Coach Poole said, we do need to be aggressive, but we can't be reckless. Right now, their aggression is paying off as they did some errors in that Florida serve receive. Florida's gone to a sub here. We got Bella Lee in the match wearing 21 in white for Florida.
And a very good server at the line, very dangerous. And Kenna Phelan. And just as I say that, misses it well out of bounds.
Huge sigh of relief for the Gators. That was going to be a difficult serve receive pattern there. AC Fitzpatrick pulled back. She doesn't pass much for Florida. You had a sub in Lee into the match who was playing in only her 3rd set of the entire year. So that's kind of a big miss for Phelan.
Overpass. And the two-handed slam dunk. I know it's not basketball season yet, but Taylor Parks, very smart play.
And Florida has flipped their outsides. As I notice, AC Fitzpatrick is now serving in a rotation where Kennedy Martin's in the back row because of her high air jump serve. They don't want to waste for those rotations with Martin across the front row.
Ace serve. We'll call it an ace, even though Taylor had barely got a hand on it. 3-0 run for Florida, and timeout called by Florida State. Back and forth we go between the Gators and the Seminoles.
Nothing wasted in those two serves, Paul.
Not at all. Well, we have a moment in the timeout. Looking through the preseason picks, the Pitt Panthers currently ranked they were my preseason #1 choice, although the coaches picked Texas. Texas now at 3-3 on the season. But Pitt, Stanford, Louisville, Georgia Tech, Florida State was 5th. How about SMU? Already with a couple of really, really good wins. One over Nebraska at home. That raised a lot of eyebrows. And then we'll give you the SEC. Texas was picked #1, Florida 2nd, Kentucky, Georgia, and then Tennessee. There is the ACC in the ABCA Top 25.
3 of the top 4 right now hail from the ACC. Pretty good stuff.
You could argue that the ACC at this point in time is the strongest conference going into conference play in the country. That has perennially been, or at least over the last decade, clearly the Big Ten. This is the SEC. Texas now down to #8. Kentucky has played a very tough schedule. They're at Stanford on Saturday. Tennessee just suffered a very unique loss to Wofford, and then Florida's at 16 and Arkansas at 25.
No surprise that Texas is the highest ranked team in the SEC, but a bit of a surprise that they've dropped to #8 with their recent losses. And Florida there at 16 has been missing their 2 All-Americans for the majority of the for all of pre-conference with Alexis Stuckey. And tonight is only the 2nd match where we've seen Kennedy Martin. So good news that 1/2 of Florida's All-Americans is back on the court this evening.
And I spoke with both Mary Wise and Alexis Stuckey personally. And Alexis Stuckey is hoping that it is sooner rather than later. Mary Wise telling us that mid-October has been always written down as the scheduled return. Here is Fitzpatrick. Good timeout called by Florida State head coach Chris Poole. Frees the server just a little bit.
Aggressive but not reckless. And one of our rules was always out of the timeout, that one goes in play. Always.
21 combined service errors for these two teams. 11 and 10 respectively. Martin, even Filimawa couldn't control that, and she's been outstanding in the defensive phase. Killed by #17, Isabel Martin.
And for several of these pins, whether it be Head or Filimawa for FSU or Martin or AC Fitzpatrick for Florida, they're at their best when the setter can create tempo and rhythm and get the ball to the outside a little quicker.
Florida State hitting .357, Florida .350. Koenig really holding up in reception. Henke quiet off the right side. Nothing quiet about #4 in Garnet. Audrey Koenig got off to a little bit of a slow start, but slow no more now with 11 kills. (17-15), tied at 1 set apiece. Audrey Dukes pins in her left ankle, brace on her right knee, and playing very, very good volleyball for Florida State. Head has got it up. Essex able to tuck that ball inside the block for Florida.
Free ball situation, and the setter for Florida Parks had to come off the net a bit, but she still didn't hesitate to go quickly to Gabby Essex.
Tough serve. Filimawa looking high hands. Quality swing.
Yeah.
Just ran out of real estate.
That was much closer than I think anyone expected. A nice snap of the wrist there over the top of that one, and she nearly caught the corner.
Again, played libero last year when Dupes went down with that season-ending knee injury. Phelan on the run. Throw up into the block and rejected. What a block party for Florida State. Now with 8 to only 1 for Florida.
A couple times here, Florida's gotten stuck with Kennedy Martin in left front and Izzy Martin in right front, and they've gone to Izzy Martin in right front. I don't know if the setter didn't realize that's who was over there, but I don't know if that's the best choice.
Just, again, only the second match together for Parks, along with Kennedy Martin. Good block touch by Lewis. And again, good reaction out of the middle. Martin down the line, dug by Dukes. Lucky sometimes is better than good.
And Florida continues to go to Izzy Martin there on the right side several times, not choosing to go to Kennedy Martin out there at the left pin. And do realize this is her first match back, as we've said, since the first match of the season on August 30th when she was injured. And it does feel as though they are trying to somewhat limit her attempts, not overuse her.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep, I looked at that, 19 attempts, but only a couple here in the third set. I think you're absolutely right. But sometimes you just go to number 18 and white.
Now it's 20 attempts, 10 kills. For comparison, let me give you Audrey Koenig's numbers. 30 attempts for Audrey Koenig, 11 kills. So a lighter load so far for Kennedy Martin, but a very efficient load as she makes it double-digit kills right there, hitting 400.
The first lead for Martin in Florida since 6-5. Off of Koenig and out of bounds. Timeout called by Florida State. Isabel Martin, the transfer from UNLV. Florida's been targeting Koenig, and she's been up to the task all night long, but that time just beaten down the line. The lead for Florida is 20-18. Kennedy Martin, we've told the story many times, severe left ankle sprain against Colorado State on August 30th. Her first match back.
First match back and first-rate play from Kennedy Martin, just as we expected. Already 10 kills here in this third set, but the impressive thing is only 2 errors. And realize this is the second match she has ever played with Taylor Parks. Just incredible.
And last year, when you look at what Florida was doing, when Alexis Stuckey went down, we mentioned it earlier on, but it bears repeating.
Yes.
Florida was 8-0. They had beaten the likes of Minnesota. They had won at Stanford, and they were playing Wisconsin when Alexis Stuckey, who in her freshman year was the SEC Freshman of the Year, went down with that season-ending knee injury. And then, God bless her, Kennedy Huff came off the sideline out of Division III nearby school and set for Florida. And Kennedy Martin, so Stuckey and Martin haven't had any significant time together. They played eight matches in 2 sets.
Yeah, and for Kennedy Martin to put up the numbers she did a season ago off of Kennedy Muff, who she had obviously not trained in the preseason with or over the summer with, expecting to be her starting setter, it just speaks to the elite play of Martin and how this team has really had to adjust on the go over and over again, and they continue to impress. That
injury to Alexis Stuckey, coincidentally, nice play by Lewis once again, was exactly 1 year ago today. Exactly 1 year ago. And I was speaking with Stuckey before the match, and Jordan Poulter, the gold medal winner from Tokyo and silver medal winner from Paris out of the University of Illinois, texted Alexis Stuckey. Poulter went through a long road to recovery, a severe knee injury, tore just about everything in 2022, playing professionally in Italy. But Jordan Poulter did reach out to Stuckey, and they've developed a relationship. It's a small, very tight family. Timeout called by Florida, tied once again at 20. Service pressure, well done, and Corey Lewis is having an outstanding evening. Now 10 of 15, and the numbers she has put up the last several matches just have been very, very efficient and impressive for the middle attacker. The all-conference middle attacker.
This set very reminiscent of set 1 when you take a look at the numbers. Florida State hitting 355 in this third set, and Florida at 444. Great play on both sides of the net.
Here is Corey Lewis. If you want to block against her one-on-one, You're taking a very big risk. Should the left side blocker for Florida be helping more here?
You know, ideally that would be great, but when you look at the pin play for Florida State, it becomes a gamble. Can you afford to start in a tight base, hoping to defend Corey Lewis and leave a hole out at the pin with these pin attackers that we have for Florida State, who have just been incredible?
Very, very well played match between these two Sunshine State rivals. Florida coming in at 6-2, ranked number 16. Florida State 7-1. Florida took the opening set 25-23. Florida State came back to take the second to even this match at a set apiece. And it's been a nail biter since then. Lewis getting some final instructions from the coaching staff along the sideline.
We mentioned Corey Lewis's 10 kills, but she is without an error in her 15 attempts.
I think Florida needs to pay a little more attention.
Yeah.
The one-on-one isn't working. She's just too good. Very good reception. Better block. Taylor had one-on-one.
Taylor Parks and Kennedy Martin here, still trying to find, I think, their connection, how that set needs to look for Kennedy Martin to go up high and swing.
McKissick, oh, another block.
I like the tempo of the ball to Kennedy Martin, but I don't think it's quite high enough. So I like the speed that she's getting it to her, but I think it needs to be a little higher. Allow Kennedy Martin to use her length.
4-0 run here for Florida State. Dug by Dukes. Back to Martin again. Another good block touch. That's going to be a double contact. That's going to be a double contact. New rule. If you can legally contact the ball twice if it stays on your side. If the next contact is by one of your teammates. That went over to Florida's side.
But I thought that was the original call as well, Paul, but they've awarded this point to Florida State.
Well, the first referee clearly pointed the ball to Florida. Daphne Nelson is the first referee. Missy, help me here, because the first referee clearly called that ball to Florida.
Did one of the Florida players take it over after, on second contact, when a libero used her hands above her head in front of the 3-meter line? I would have to see that again, honestly.
Well, we're going to have to take another look at this, but a very, very important break for Florida State. Let's take a look at the whole point. This is early on, indicative of the level of this match. Very, very hard fought.
Was this ball just out of bounds? Was it a
Well, the ball was called good. And at the end of the day, the point was awarded to Florida State. Florida called a timeout.
Yeah. Yeah. Ball just called in, point to Florida State.
But you're with me. Initially, the first referee.
The first referee made a move. So
definitely pointed to Florida.
I think it was just an errant hand signal by the up official and then a correction.
I'm easily confused. Don't do that anymore.
You can't do that to us. It was corrected, and the call that was made is the correct call. Point Florida State, absolutely.
Huge call. 5-0 run for Audrey Koenig and Florida State. Lost last year in 5 sets, 16-14 in the 5th. What a good touch by Martin to keep that ball off the floor.
I like the setting choice here. Obviously Martin on the floor, but either way, I would have gone down the middle to Gabby Essex. We saw prior to the timeout several balls in a row to Kennedy Martin. That's usually a good choice, but the connection right now between Taylor Parks and Kennedy Martin isn't quite as solid.
Tight pass, saved. And Lewis again, wrist away, number 8 in Garnet. Set points now for Corey Lewis and Florida State. Lewis has 11 kills, make it 12 kills on 19 attempts, no errors, spectacular. Filimawa. And that's going to be the set. Florida State needed only one chance, and they converted that. And Florida State on the road in Gainesville, now up 2-1 over their rival, the Florida Gators. It has been an outstanding evening of volleyball, kicking off an amazing week. Florida State on top after winning the third.
Choose joy. Choose the road. Choose your people.
Choose ability. You're scared of everything.
Let the celebrations begin. The world is watching.
You got to live history.
But something happened in Sydney.
Where's the justice in all of that?
Happened at the 2000 Sydney Paralympics. Stick around for the premiere of 30 for 30, Stolen Gold, coming up next on ESPN. Back with the legend of Gainesville, Missy Whittemore. I'm Paul Sunderland. Thanks for joining us. Florida State putting a lot of pressure on Kennedy Martin in her return, and the Florida Gators 25-21 in the third, looking forward to the fourth. Florida State has not won in Gainesville since 2016, the 67th meeting all time, and Florida has had the better of it. 45 wins. There are the numbers. What does this tell you through 3 sets?
Huge discrepancy in blocks there, with Florida State 10 to Florida's 1. And, you know, if Florida's scoring points in other ways, but offensively, you don't have to score as many points with your block. But at some point, are you at least slowing the Florida State attack down? And right now, I don't think Florida's even getting enough quality touches on the Florida State attack, which is really diverse, comes at you from pin to pin, and they're not afraid to use their middles. It's a tall order to defend this 6-2 system of Florida State.
Robertson and the Seminoles starting things off, and Izzy Martin, number 17 in white, off the edge and out of bounds. Take us over to Mary Wise. She's only been at this 34 years here at Florida. Prior to that, she was a head coach at Iowa State when she was 21. What would be the conversation over on Florida's side?
You know, I think I saw some one-on-one as the coaches spent some time talking to Taylor Parks, the freshman setter, who's just been incredible for Florida in the absence of Alexis Stuckey. But she's playing with her third lineup now this season as a freshman setter. And with Kennedy Martin back on the floor, they just have to be patient. It's going to take some time to find that connection. As I said, I like the tempo of the ball to Kennedy, but I think it could be a little higher to allow Kennedy to go up and get it. That way she's over the top of that block, and the Florida State block won't be able to get the best of her as they did there at the end of that last set.
The non-conference season winding down very quickly for both of these fine programs. Then they get into the ace. Oh, nice pass by Koenig. And Corey Lewis again is having what a night in Gainesville. The Tallahassee native doing a magnificent job for Florida State.
Lauren Robertson, who is in her first season at Florida State and delivering just perfect balls.
Aforementioned Robertson wearing number 0, the transfer from Memphis, on the overpass. Legal play. Parks was below the plane of the net. And down now by Filimawa. Crowd getting a little bit antsy.
Effort certainly still there on the part of the Gators, and the fans get on board as well.
Left side, Fitzpatrick through a small seam and down. Missy, are you looking for that as an attacker? You're looking for a little bit of space between the outside blocker and the middle when I mentioned seam?
I mean, I would certainly think so. I'm a setter, so I should probably ask you that question.
What do you know? I don't know. I just closed my eyes and swung as hard as I could.
Exactly. But yes is the answer.
Tough serve. Dukes keeps it off the floor. Good read by Robertson. Up into the block smartly to recycle. Boy, these teams are playing hard. And Martin maybe a little dead-legged there, did not get off the floor. Remember rehabbing that very severely sprained ankle. I know we've mentioned it several times, but number 18 in white is one of the top attackers in all of college volleyball and missed 7 straight matches. The last time she was on the court for Florida was on August 30th and only practiced half of yesterday.
And it felt like we had seen a concerted effort not to use her out of system, which makes a lot of sense.
Agreed with you. Taylor Head has done a nice job. Used her head that time. Martin off the edge of the block and out of bounds. Corey Lewis leading the way, and that not often doesn't happen with a middle attacker. 13 kills. Audrey Koenig has 11. Taylor Head with 8. Fili Maua, nice balance actually for both of these teams.
The 20 attempts from Corey Lewis. When you take a look at the box score, if you don't know this team, you would think Corey Lewis is a pin attacker with the number of swings she takes. This team does a great job using her.
And that is a result of
the fact that they have really good ball control because it allows them to use their middles, and that their setters are not afraid to push the middle even when they come off the net. Not to mention the fact that Corey Lewis works really hard in transition.
Phelan still trying to capture the feeling. Once again, if you weren't with us, her mother Jessica played for Chris Poole at Arkansas and was the first All-American at Arkansas as that program was developing under Coach Poole. Good read by Koenig. Very smart attack off the edge of the block by Taylor Head.
The ball movement by Taylor Head, and then when she rotates out, Fili Maua, they both have such great range.
Head is having a big night. 7 digs, 9 kills, 4 blocks. That might be a career high, and a couple of them against Martin. That ball is ruled on the floor away from Phelan. A little more on Jessica Then Field. Jessica and her husband Darren, now Phelan, are the godparents of Chris Poole's daughter Taylor. So she wasn't going anywhere but Florida State to play for Coach Poole.
Yeah, if you don't think volleyball is family, certainly a great example right there.
Oil back on. Good swing down the line by Koenig. Dupes will go back to the line, tied at 6. All 3 of the previous sets. We entered the red zone tied at 20. Florida State got the better of it. That ball just out of bounds. Good eye that time by Emily Kanan, wearing number 7 in white. Parks came in the spring, having a very good year in the stead of Alexis Stuckey, averaging 10.6 assists per set. It's very solid. Head out of the back row. Misread, a little bit lucky for the homestanding Florida Gators.
Probably 2 players for Florida State who can make a play on that, but just some miscommunication and a good job of Gabby Essex to go up and over the defense there.
We've talked an awful lot about Martin's return, but Essex has been outstanding as well. She has not played since the beginning of training camp. Tight set, good push that time by Martin. Taylor Head playing spectacular defense. Good set in transition, room to swing. Dug by Dupes. Out of bounds.
The snap on this ball, I thought that was going to be to the floor. Dupes keeps that one alive. And the good plays just kept coming in that rally. Talking about good, how about this serve receive? Florida State has so good in serve receive in this rotation. They have last year's libero up at the net at a serve receive. And maybe they'll make a change now.
Right on cue, going after Dupes.
Yeah,
and Florida
and they
State.
do. They're pulling her back.
4-0 run for Florida to recapture the lead in a must-win set situation for the Gators. Florida State in the 4th. The Gators on top 10-6.
If there's a chance for what
For in a must-win set 4, and that's a good look at Kenna Phelan on the floor right now for Florida State, their setter. She has deep ties with Coach Poole, as her mother, Jessica Field, was Chris Poole's first All-American in 1997 when he started the Arkansas program. Jessica Field at the time married Darren Phelan, a tennis player from Arkansas. And those two just happen to be the godparents of Coach Poole's daughter. Yeah. So an incredible story, full circle for sure.
Parks with a service winner off the top of the tape. That'll go down as an ace for number 20 in white. Just a freshman starting now for the number 16 ranked team in the country. And Florida will be moving up. Kennedy Martin will certainly get her conditioning back where it needs to be. And we're talking about Gabby Essex as well. We've talked an awful lot about Kennedy Martin, and with good reason, but Essex is having a huge evening against Florida State. 9 of 13 in her first match of the year.
No errors yet for Gabby Essex out of the middle. No errors yet for Corey Lewis of Florida State out of the middle.
That is some middle attacking and setting work by both of these teams. That ball missed by Martin. Showing some rust, showing some fatigue.
You see Ellie McKissick with an extended conversation there with Taylor Parks. She's obviously the veteran on this team, giving her a little advice.
Well, that's McKissick doing her job.
Yep.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Advice.
Yeah, go to Essex.
Yeah, Kennedy's a little, Kennedy's tired. Fourth set here. Give her a chance to catch her breath. Ellie McKissick is like, I'm going to put the pass right on you. We're going down the middle here. Well done by Ellie McKissick to give the setter that opportunity.
Here's the other Martin. Tough serve. Florida's up their game from the service line. Back to Essex again, and Head can't get there.
And in the recent past, it's hard to remember a night where Florida's middles have matched the production of Florida State's middles offensively. Florida's middles have always been a big blocking presence, but Gabby Essex bringing the offense tonight.
Good balance. 3 Gators now with 10+ kills. Florida looking to extend their lead. Koenig, what a good shot down the line. There was not much room.
When Florida had the opportunity in that rally, I know they've gone to Gabby Essex a lot, but I'm going right back to her right there in transition. They shot a ball to the outside to Kennedy Martin. She doesn't typically swing from the left pin, so I'm not sure I like that choice.
Tough serve, well handled. Back to Essex for the throwdown. Do you think about taking Kennedy Martin out across the back row, trying to get her a blow? Because you can't move Alec Roth around, because she's been moved from what was the opposite now into the middle, so that just doesn't work.
I think about possibly telling Taylor Parks not to set her across the back row, but I think I leave her out there so she can stay in a rhythm. And sometimes with an injury, when you get cold, it's worse. So I think you leave her out there, but maybe you try not to use her offensively.
Filamawa is stuffed. The block by the aforementioned Alec Roth.
That is only the second block for a point, stuff block for Florida in this match. Not this set, but in this match. That is block number 2 for the Gators. Florida State has 11 to this point.
Florida averages, if you're wondering, so far on the season through 8 matches into 9, they average 2.5 blocks per set. Corey Lewis continuing her near perfect night, number 8 in Garnet.
Corey Lewis and Gabby Essex have been a lot of fun, and they just continue to battle back and forth. That's 14 kills now for Corey Lewis, hitting 660 at 7. Gabby Essex has 12 kills, but hitting 750.
Chance for Florida State, gotta have it, trailing by 5. Back to Lewis again. Good block touch out of the middle by Lewis. Filamawa is so sound. How good is this? Another spectacular point. Smart shot, but not handled by Florida State.
saw Florida earned, and I do mean earned, earned that point, defending 2 free ball opportunities that they were forced to send over, and you could almost say 3 with a tip shot that went right into the defense.
I was looking for the oxygen tanks to get rolled out. Yeah, there have been some spectacular plays on both sides. Lewis again.
Gotta have it, Corey Lewis. And the good news for Florida State is that it is just, the serve receive is just on target time and time again.
Florida State hitting 297, exceptional. Florida right at about their season average now at 301. Biggest difference is blocks 11-3. A look from behind. Florida must win set situation on top by 5. Dug by Koenig. Not a perfect set in transition. Smart shot by Florida.
It is hard to find the floor against the likes of Florida State's Filamaua and Taylor Head. And the timing and the placement from the freshman Taylor Parks is just too good.
Last year in Tallahassee, these two rivals went 5 sets, 16-14 in the 5th. Koenig missed it out of the back row. This set is starting to get away from the Seminoles. Timeout is called. Gabby Essex returning to the floor like Kennedy Martin and having a huge impact for the Gators.
Yeah, I don't think we've mentioned enough. That is such a good point, Paul. Her first match of the season. She was injured very early in training camp. We were told a hamstring injury. And how about this return? Coming out party for Gabby Essex here for the 2024 season. 750 hitting efficiency with 12 kills on 16 attacks. It's still a perfect night for both her and Corey Lewis. No errors.
She should take more time off. She just tied her career high. I don't think Barry Wise wants Essex to take any more time off back from that hamstring injury that had plagued her right from the very first day of training camp. Difference here in the 4th for Florida.
I'll tell you what, I really can appreciate the defensive effort from Florida. Here in this 4th set, they know they got to have it, and they're playing some gritty defense. And then I think they have not overloaded Kennedy Martin. They've been able to find Gabby Essex as much as they can.
The header we'll have for you tomorrow night on ESPN and the app. 4th-ranked Louisville squares off against the 11th-ranked Eastern, then Texas. The 2-time defending national champions, but currently at 3-3. They're ranked number 8 this week after starting the season at number 1. Take on number 20 Baylor in Waco. Baylor, a heartbreaking loss. They were up 13-10 on Wisconsin and dropped that in the 5th set. 18-11 is the advantage. Missed serve out of the timeout, but a little bit of separation here. Fitzpatrick will go to the sideline. So far on the night, she is 8 of 27. 6 digs to go along with 3 blocks. Here is Head. McKissick had to fight that one off. And that ball thrown down by Izzy Martin.
Great job there by Martin as she throws it past the defender who saw the open hand tip coming and starts to rush forward for it. And then the tip goes right over the defender. Well placed.
Martin now 12 kills on 25 swings, having a nice match, hitting 320. Essex is hitting 750.
An even nicer match.
Florida on their way to forcing a 5th set tiebreaker. Koenig. Inside the block and down once again by Izzy Martin.
Kananen right back. They move her around depending on the rotation. Good job scooping that one up, and just a hard crunch there from Izzy Martin as she's able to go inside the block.
Hoyle back on, and now a couple of missed serves, but still with some comfortable separation. Florida, Hoyle, and all the rest of the Gators did some really good work after they got past 10. They established a 5-point lead and pretty comfortable. Texas was picked to win the SEC, followed by Florida, Kentucky, Georgia, and Tennessee. Florida State was picked to finish 5th in the ACC. That looks to be too low. The ball dug. Martin mishandles. Both teams working hard, but nicely done by Kelsey Perry, taking care of the overdig.
Gabby Essex trying to make a play on that ball. Parks is already on the floor. The effort is just so good on both sides of the net.
There is a small window of time. That is a perfect pass by Kanan, and through the block and down by who else but Gabby Essex.
Florida State tried to get multiple blockers up on Essex that time, and it won't matter. Same result, but guess what? A new career high for Gabby Essex. Make it 13 kills on the evening.
Boy, tough serve by Parks. Boy, did that have a lot of movement on it.
You've mentioned it several times, Paul, but deceptively difficult serve from Parks.
Ace numbers not particularly big, but that never tells the whole story in terms of what you're doing at the line. What happens with your opponent when you're serving? Martin really wound up, used her arms to get off the floor.
Notice that was a higher ball because they were somewhat out of system, and I feel like she's almost been better in those out of system situations where she's swinging at a bit of a higher ball.
A couple of points away from a 5th set tiebreaker. Filimawa off the edge of the block and out of bounds. Florida State now trailing 23-15. Want to try, as long as there's time on the clock, if you will, you want to try to find some momentum, get back into your reception rhythm. You don't want to get blown out here in the 4th and go into the 5th with all the momentum wearing a white jersey. Here's Robertson. Martin again. Found it underneath Lewis. Set points now for Martin and the Florida Gators.
Another higher ball for Martin that she's able to get on top of, use that length to her advantage.
Set point number 1. Martin Essex, her only error on the night. Well, perfection is a hard bar.
It is.
You'd like to have that one back, but no damage done. Set point number 2. Wonderful bounce back for the Florida Gators. Florida looking to close it out. And they do. And who else? Gabby Essex with the thunder out of the middle. The Sunshine State Showdown. I actually said it the right way that time.
You did. And it's a lived up to all we expected.
The Florida Gators did a wonderful job defensively. They held Florida State to just 129 efficiency. And we're going to play 5.
El Derby de Madrid on ESPN+.
Giddy up.
This is the SEC on ESPN, and what an incredible start to what is going to be a fantastic week of college volleyball right around the country. In-state rivals. Sunshine State Showdown. I said it twice in a row. Very well. Thank you very much. Florida State held down in that 4th set, and Kennedy Martin with some help from Gabby Essex, along with Izzy Martin leading the way offensively and forcing the fifth set tiebreaker. Biggest difference for Florida, Martin and the rest in the fourth.
Well, the ball control was there. We saw serve receive fail them a bit in the third set. The ball control was there, and the result of that was the ability to set the middle, and Gabby Essex was unstoppable.
Here's a huge number for Florida. They sided out at 82%. That means they scored 8 out of 10 times plus when they were in serve receive, and they held Florida State to 54%.
As compared to 58% that they sided out in set 3. That set where their serve receive just was not able to hold up.
Yeah, offensively, Florida was absolutely superb. And as I mentioned, going to break after the fourth set, Florida State is hitting just under 300 on the match, but held to 129 in the fourth. It's been really a fun match. High level of performance in all phases. Serving, serve reception, work at the defensive end. The only area that's really disparate, if you will, is the blocking category for head coach Chris Poole. His Florida State Seminoles out blocking Florida 11-3. Other than that, hitting percentage, dig totals, all the rest very similar across the board. Fun match.
I think the important thing in set 4 was for Florida to at least get some quality block touches, and I felt like they were able to get over the hump there and create at least a bit of a blocking presence that Florida State had to think about.
First 5-set match so far on the non-conference for Florida State. Florida dropped 3-2 decision to South Florida earlier on in the non-conference. The first of many. Texas at Baylor, Pitt hosting Penn State, Louisville at Kentucky, Stanford, Nebraska, then Nebraska at Louisville on ABC, Kentucky at Stanford on Saturday. We came on the air. This is kicking off what is going to be one of the most incredible weeks of college volleyball. I can remember it. All those matchups I read off, it sounds like and feels like a regional semifinal or a regional.
When the captains met there prior to set 5, for Florida State, it was Corey Lewis, Taylor Head, Audrey Koenig, and for Florida, it was Ellie McKissick. Guess what? Those are all Florida natives. This means something.
Fifth set, each team gets an additional challenge. Who will strike first? Fitzpatrick cutting inside, dug by Dupes. Kept alive by the Seminoles. Essex tattooing the sideline.
Welcome back, Gabby Essex, huh? The ball control. Great scoop by Canan out of middle back. And Taylor Parks knows where to go.
Pass by Head. What a good block by Essex, this time working on Lewis.
Does a good job fronting her, staying with her as she moves away from the setter. And that block for Gabby Essex, not only does it register finally the third block for Florida, but that will also be the first error for Corey Lewis in this entire match.
Fifth set tiebreaker. Change sides at 8. 2 timeouts, even though this is an abbreviated tiebreaker set. And each team, as I mentioned, with an additional challenge. A lot of service errors through the first 3 sets. You heard Chris Poole talk about it after the second. That whole area has been cleaned up a lot by both teams. Martin just over the sideline and out of bounds. We're going to have a challenge, so let's wait for the second referee. Well, good to have that additional challenge at the start of the 5th set, and Mary Wise making good use of that challenge. Ball was called out, and in the SEC, they're utilizing the Hawkeye system. 12 cameras around the court. Let's take a quick look. Wonderful use of the challenge. Any part of the ball on any part of the line. A very wise move.
And Mary Wise just pointed to the student section in the end zone who was yelling ball was in. Just crediting them for that point. Well done, students. There's some pretty smart kids here at Florida, you know?
I would imagine so. 1,051 wins, the most by any active coach in Division I. Chris Poole with 925. He is second. Good pass again by Koenig. And Lewis coming right back.
If these teams can keep the passing up, we just get to watch an absolute slugfest between Corey Lewis and Gabby Essex, and I'm all here for it.
16 kills now for Corey Lewis as a middle.
Yeah, incredible.
Wonderful passing and setting. Lewis there on the tap down. That'll go down as a block for number 8 in Garnett.
Lewis, not only a Floridian, but born and raised in Tallahassee.
All ACC first team last year, honorable mention All-American, trained with Team USA in the spring. In her senior season, she has a very, very bright professional future ahead of her. Essex again. What a good delivery.
Taylor Parks, freshman setter, thrust into a starting role in the absence of Alexis Stuckey. Then injuries this season. She's been without Kennedy Martin. This is her first match setting Gabby Essex in a true match setting, and the results have just been phenomenal.
Ace serve. Seventh ace so far on the night for Florida, 4 for Florida State. Out to head. Head looking for hands and missed it long.
And while it wasn't a stuffed block that went for a point, the block that went back to Florida State off of Kennedy Martin created the error, because now all of a sudden those Penn players are thinking about that Martin block.
Timeout called by Florida State. McKissick doing a good job at the service line, and now the largest lead here in the 5th set tiebreaker. Remember, Florida State led 2-1. Here's our Sunday featured NWSL match with Gotham's 2-0 win over the Reign Monday night. They moved into 3rd place in the standings and will square off against Utah in Spanish. Missy Whittemore, this has been a really fun night of volleyball. Gave you that list of matches still to come, and there is a lot of the top teams. Number 1 Pitt, the Panthers taking on Penn State, that the ACC network, and some wonderful matches on ESPN as well. A couple of pretty good middles having a night.
17 and 16 kills respectively. Those are not pin attackers. Those are middle blockers. Well done, ladies. How fun has it been to watch these two tonight?
And as a setter, I know how much you appreciate your receivers. That is kudos to all 6 receivers for Florida and for Florida State.
And Paul, I think worth noting, we've mentioned the fact that Florida's only recorded 4 blocks, but I think you have to point out the fact that because Florida State's pins can swing from both sides, their setters have actually done a pretty nice job of keeping it away from Martin. They have tried not to swing into Martin. That big solid block of Kennedy Martin was what resulted in Florida's point there before the timeout.
Ellie McKissick coming in 2nd all-time in terms of digs at the University of Florida. Once again, Tori Lewis, a perfect reception by Koenig. Mentioned McKissick was 2nd, coming in with 1772. Elise Cusack, who played from 2006 to 2009. Numbers pretty much out of reach. 2,138. That one's safe for a while. Chance for Florida State. To Lewis again. That pass not perfect. And head is blocked.
It's taken some time, but that Florida block finally coming alive in crucial moments. And again, it's Kennedy Martin doing a good job setting that. And Alec Roth, the freshman, leans into the scene.
Kulinawa going back to head and off the edge of the block. One of the things that we haven't talked about, and I'm looking at the stats, makes things a little bit difficult. Yone Henke has only taken a handful of swings all night. She's off on the right side. So Florida can sort of ignore her at the offensive end.
I've actually been surprised at her low attempts because Florida State typically does such a good job of spreading it from pin to pin. I think that is a result of the fact that their pins, whether it be Head or Koenig, are so good out of the back row as well that they're almost using that attack as their third attack.
Yeah, Henke has only taken 6 swings all evening long, and you counter that with Audrey Koenig, who's taken 38, Taylor Head 30. So it gives Florida, or I should ask you, does it give Florida an advantage in those rotations when she's in the front court?
It does. I think they can get a little help toward the middle, but realize there are rotations. When I say back row attack, sometimes for Florida State, often for Florida State, it can actually be 2 back row attackers available with their 3 pins out on the court.
A.C. Fitzpatrick at the line, 8 kills on 28 swings, 6 digs, 3 block assists. Blocking stats in volleyball are a little bit interesting. Solo block counts as 1, block assist counts as a half. Just out of bounds. That was a pretty good attempt that time by Fitzpatrick. Started her career at Penn State. She'll give way, go to the sideline, replaced by Emily Kanan, who's been very, very good in reception. Our second challenge of ball in or out here in this 5th set. That was very, very quick. Student section couldn't help out there. They're going, no, Mary, no.
The speed of the replay tonight.
Very good.
Very, very good.
And thankfully, we've had very few challenges of touches, because that is a difficult one to sort out. Florida State's right there. They led 2 sets to 1. All Florida in the 4th. 8-5. Chance out of system, coming to Martin. No. Kennedy Martin, yes. Thought it was coming to Izzy Martin. Went to Kennedy Martin out of the back row. That ball called out of bounds, and we're going to have another challenge. And this one
is the touch.
The curse. The curse. This is just a tough one.
Florida's bench was... And I apologize as we get used to having that announcement from the official, which we so appreciate.
No, it's a very good system, and I like it even better when it's fed to the house. I want the fans to know. I want our fans watching at home to know exactly what is being called. And again, it called out no touch. It has to be 100%. The officials are taking a very, very close look indeed. The call was reversed, so good work again by the Florida coaching staff. Maybe the student section. I mean, they're certainly down at the other end taking credit for it. But Martin hit a ball out of bounds, called out, overruled. Ball by Martin hit off the block, called out, overruled with a touch.
Yeah, those are huge points for Florida.
Good. Those are the right calls.
Right.
The most important thing is to get it right. Big reversal. 9-6 is the advantage now for Florida. Koenig swinging over the top and missed it. Florida State in real trouble now, Missy.
And I think we talked to Coach Poole about their 1 loss this season to Auburn, and that was what he had to say, was that in crucial moments we cannot air ourselves out, and that has been an issue here again tonight.
Chance for Koenig again. Good dig by Kanan. Martin in transition. Timeout, Florida State.
This one's so good, we're going to watch it again. Great job, Martin, getting off in transition. And then you see the push from the setter. If that setter doesn't get the ball all the way out to the antenna, those hitters don't have the options that we just saw there for Izzy Martin, as she had the option to turn that one right down the line.
So Florida State really up against it. Here's next Wednesday's SEC volleyball doubleheader. Number 15, Tennessee hosts Alabama at the Food City Center in Knoxville at 7 Eastern. Then number 25, Arkansas hosts Georgia at the Barn in Fayetteville. Should be a great night of volleyball over on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. Spectacular week of college volleyball right around the country starting tomorrow. Texas, Baylor, Louisville, Kentucky, and then it just continues. Wednesday, as mentioned, and then over on the Ace Bears. And then it just continues over the weekend. Stanford is at Nebraska tomorrow as well. Coming out of the timeout, back to serve, Emerson Hoyle. Big lead here in the fifth for Florida after they trailed 2-1. Misses once again. Remember when we talked to Chris Poole, he said when we lost at Auburn, we took so many quality swings that were just long, and we're going to have a challenge here. Let's hear from the official. Okay, there you have it. We'll take a couple of looks, and Hawkeye will take a look as well. This is good use of the challenge. I saw it out of bounds, but you can't take them back to Tallahassee with you. There is the look on Hawkeye. There's the video review, and the ball is clearly out of bounds. But getting back to the loss by Florida State at Auburn, 33 hitting errors. Sometimes the court just seems, it's not 9 meters. It's a little bit less, it seems. Yeah, that ball's out of bounds.
And while the errors don't look to be too egregious tonight for Florida State at 20, if you look at this fifth set alone, Paul, 5 errors, more errors than kills. They're hitting negative numbers. Florida without an error in set 5, 6 kills, hitting .857.
Impressive level of play for both Florida and Florida State. Fort will stay on the board, so now Florida with a commanding lead in the 5th set. Last year in Tallahassee, this match went 5 sets, 16-14 in the 5th. So it'll take a miracle now for Chris Poole and his Florida State Seminoles to get back in this 4-0 scoring run. Make it 5.
Florida with 13 points already here in set 5, and 6 of them have come by way of Florida State hitting errors.
Gabby Essex in her return, 16 kills, nearly perfect. Kennedy Martin, 15 kills. Izzy Martin at 14. Koenig missed it out of bounds again. Match points now for Florida. The Florida Gators have, after a very close first 3 sets, dominated the 4th 25-16, and dominated in the 5th as well. Match point. Good touch by Essex. A swing for the match. Not yet. Go to Essex in front. Martin again. Florida for the win.
How's that for a start to rivalry week? When you see the reaction of the players and coaches alike, it tells you how much this one means.
Very, very competitive through 3 sets. 25-23, 25-22, 25-21. But then it was Mary Weiss's Florida Gators dominating in the fourth and doing so again in the fifth as they start to get healthy. Still want to add Alexis Stuckey, but start to get healthy as conference play is right around the corner.
You have to execute in set 5. Hey, Coach, how is it if we hit 7 kills, 0 errors on 10 attempts and go 700?
Really fun contest. Florida State is going to have a wonderful year in the ACC, as will Florida in the SEC. For Missy Whittemore and our entire ESPN crew, I'm Paul Sunderland. Have a wonderful night. Coming up next, 30 for 30.